You know, one of these days I'm actually going to review a movie that I don't like for a change because this is kind of getting a bit monotonous. But you know what? If they keep making good movies like this, that's a problem I actually don't mind having. War for the Planet of the Apes. It's the third and concluding entry in the, what do you call it? The Apes prequel trilogy? Apes prequel trilogy. Insert Lucas joke here. Does this film fall victim to the threequel curse? Absolutely not. This is the culmination of everything that was done in Rise and Dawn. I will say there is a little bit of me that still prefers Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, mainly because I felt that there was a nice balance of characters that you can click with on both sides, apes and humans. Honestly, that's something I don't mind being sacrificed for the sake of a very satisfying concluding chapter in this trilogy. The funny thing is, I only saw the prior two films once, both times when I initially saw them in the theaters. But the funniest part of it all is it didn't deter me from still being emotionally invested the second this sucker started. Matter of fact, there's even a nice opening subtitle which actually does a really good job refreshing you from what happened in the previous outing. Credit where it's due, somehow, some way, even in lieu of all the years that have passed between when I saw the previous two entries, somehow I still was emotionally ready to jump into this movie. But the funniest part of all is I was still not prepared for what was going to transpire in this movie. This one, I would say, yeah, in a fashion like the prior two, but this one does not hold back emotional punches. This one dares to pretty much do stuff which is utterly shocking, utterly abhorrent. This one has absolutely no problem painting people who normally in any other movie you'd be rooting for. This one says no. The post-apocalyptic anything is pretty much, it's still in to this very day, and it's always root for the humans. Humans gotta survive. This is one of the few movies I've actually encountered where I'm actually going, you know what? We had our time. We screwed it up. Best thing to do is just let whoever comes next come along. And if they stuck to the original ending of I Am Legend, we might still have another movie that did that. As we all remember from the original Planet of the Apes, there were humans that pretty much reverted back to a more primitive state. This movie actually kicks that off, and I'll try to remain as spoiler-free as possible on this one because I don't want to. I want you guys to go see this one. It is, and if you haven't seen the first two, go see them. This one. The one thing I found immensely refreshing about this, now usually in a war movie you got one side or the other, and it's always just about seeing who out-strategizes who. This one takes routes that you just can't predict. It is impossible to predict some of these. First off, you got Caesar's arc, who, and it's a good amount of time after the events in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and you see war has pretty much got him teeter-tottering, and something happens in the beginning of this film which has him going on this downward spiral to a point where he feels that he may be on the verge of becoming just as bad as the ape that kicked this off at the end of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. It's actually heartbreaking to see him go down this route, and it's fascinating. You're still rooting for him all the way through. It's done. The writing is so delicate in this movie, and not just for him, but for all the apes around you. Compared to the original series of Planet of the Apes, this one actually seems like it wants to march to its own drum. It seems to want to take it maybe a different route. I will say I walked out of this one with a sense of hope. Beyond just hope for the apes, I actually found that there might even be a sense of hope for humanity. It kind of goes back to that old principle of, maybe sometimes in order to go forward, we got to step back a bit. That's what this movie kind of reinforced all the way through, and it's actually echoed very well in Woody Harrelson's character. His character is definitely an antagonist that he is just abhorrent in every way possible. You are disgusted by him. But when you get what he's all about, when you find out his story, he is a scared man with everything he does. It seems like it's just prejudice or it's just spite. When you find out the truth behind him, it is just fear. Once again, it doesn't go the way you expect. Even if you see it coming at it leads into the scene, it doesn't matter because the moment you see it, it is just so staggering. This film had me emotionally compromised for a lot of things. First off, you've been following Caesar's trail all the way from Rise onwards. It's been a long road for him, and the one thing this movie does insanely well is it shows the mileage. Another thing I got to point out, this is also not just an evolution of the characters, this is an evolution for the technology. This film, honestly, the people behind this film, but more importantly for Andy Serkis, who, pretty much going all the way back to Lord of the Rings, this man has pioneered the art of motion capture acting. And that combined with, frankly, the utterly awe-inspiring CGI work, this might actually be my pick for visual effects, because the work they did on motion capture in this movie is utterly entrancing. I was actually there were times, like in the more quieter scenes, actually I was scrutinizing the look on the very delicate features on their faces. For the life of me, this was kind of what I think we've been gunning towards in expanding the reach of what an actor can do, not just with words and just with our own faces, but to be able to take it and go beyond that. Andy Serkis, I think, has pioneered that, and this, I think, is, and I'm sure he's going to keep doing this long down the line, but I'd say the work he has done through all three of these films, and as it seems like what he has done in general for the CGI, for the motion capture, I guess it's an industry, but the work he's done on it is just so staggering, and it is so influential that I don't know where we'd be without the work he's put into it, and all the very talented computer imagers, and the CGI work. It's probably some of the best I've seen in a long time. Now, CGI works when you have forgotten entirely that you're watching CGI. These films need to be studied, especially the evolution from Rise onwards. Because now I look back at Rise and I'm like, okay, yeah, it does show a bit, but the work onward has become utterly incredible. Matt Reeves and all of his team have to be applauded. And actually, now finding out that he's going to be directing the Batman movie, I'm really excited. I think he's going to do some incredible work with this, because look what this guy did with the last two Planet of the Apes films. And not just to Andy Serkis, the acting all around for every actor who's playing an ape, it is, I'm left speechless constantly because of the artistry. This is a film that's a triumph not just for storytelling, but for acting, for technology. This film just seemed to be just this incredible culmination of art form. The body work that all the actors have done in order to become apes, it's totally clean, and it's hypnotic. This film may not win awards for innovations in storytelling, which is really a shame, because once again the plot progresses in ways I didn't expect. But this film should frankly be celebrated. This film and the entire trilogy should be celebrated for the fact that it's not just about one particular element that makes it great. This is pretty much one of those times where a teamwork element is shown all throughout. I know this is starting to sound like a review of the entire trilogy, but when you think about what came before and what it all led to with this film, you honestly can't separate them all. And frankly, when it comes to a trilogy, when it comes to any franchise, it's important to think about where we came from to this point. War for the Planet of the Apes is frankly the perfect wrap up for this trilogy, and I'm actually going to go flat out say it's probably one of my top 10 of the year. Might even be, got a lot down the road, but there's going to be a lot down the line. So I'm going to give this one also another perfect score of Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did you think Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was better? Do you think that the original franchise was better? Leave it here in the comments down below, and for more content on Narcotic Casserole, just like, share, and subscribe. And don't be afraid to comment. I love comments.